Hello, this is Eileen, the environmental educator, and today it's Friday, so it's a Friday funny. And as in every Friday funny, it's not a that is really funny. It's wow, oh my God, you're kidding me. This isn't funny at all. So here we have here an Oregon sheriff arrests Forest Service worker after a prescribed burn spreads to a private ranch. So this was covered a bunch of places. Oregon sheriff arrests Forest Service employee for controlled burn that spread. And this article says that this is sparking a larger debate. And I mean, nothing's funny about fire and fire getting out of control. This is just a Friday funny because it's karma, I guess, maybe. I don't know if anybody remembers a few years ago the Hammond arson case that was out in Oregon. And now these are the arsonists, ranchers, who, this is how people describe them right here. The Hammonds are just good people, down to earth folks. They'd help any neighbor. And this is from a guy who helps manage a ranch near them and has known the Hammonds for years. Now the Hammonds, Dwight and his son, Ammon Bundy went out in their defense, but Dwight here, the father and his son, they did some backburns on ranches, and ranches do this routinely since the start of ranching, I guess it seems, and it got a little out of control, and they burned some on federal land, which, if you know anything about federal land, I don't know a whole lot about it, the technicalities, but I know the major technicality is the feds aren't even allowed to own land, only for like post offices and for Washington D.C. to, govern the country, and to acquire land to make it into a national park, but they're not allowed to own land. So all of these agencies that manage lands, have just overstepped boundaries, and nobody ever pushed back. And how, out west, how much of the land out west is managed by different government agencies that technically shouldn't really have anything to do with the land. I mean, it's pretty ironic. But now one of these burns, it went across into the wildlife refuge out there that Ammon, he, took it over in trying to help the Hammonds, but it became a whole thing. But the thing is, these guys were just doing ranching. They said, ask anybody. There's no complaints about how they manage the land. And that's from a neighbor, Jeff Maupin. They took care of their private grounds and the public property. The idea that the Hammonds burn a fire to cover up evidence of hunting is laughable, not only because it would be out of character, but also because a fire simply wouldn't have the capacity to destroy deer carcasses. So, yeah, see, these guys got arrested. The Hammonds got arrested twice. Once was because the feds said they started a fire, and so that they covered up destroying deer. And I guess, I don't know all the specifics about that, but that's what they said. And the second time they started a fire, it was the government had declared a fire ban. It's in some of these articles here. They had declared a fire ban, but there was a lightning strike and it caused a fire. So Dwight set a backfire to save his feed and some property on the ranch, I guess, and it ended up going onto um, about 40 acres maybe of the wildlife refuge. It's a BLM property. So they were arrested for arson, even though they even tried to fight it off, like stop the fire once it started. They tried to put it out. They were very responsible. And Trump even pardoned them. But these guys, they went out and they actually went to federal prison, and they served some time before Trump pardoned them. And it was a whole big to do. And people said that, this was really just ranching. They didn't do anything. They didn't, the first fire they set wasn't to cover up killing deer. Our government agencies like to say whatever they want to say. But these guys, had the feds breathing down their neck, and now we have a sheriff out here in Oregon who is taking control from this fire here. A Forest Service went out and they started a controlled burn, and the guy who got arrested was the burn boss, Grant County Sheriff Todd McKinley. Said in a statement his office arrested 39-year-old burn boss after a controlled burn escaped in towards 20 acres belonging to a cattle ranch. So the Forest Service went out and they started a control burn, and a lot of these control burns get out of control, but when the Forest Service does it, it's okay. And this fire, this control burn, it jumped on the other side of the road, and it made a lot of people not happy. And then it went onto this private property. And the sheriff said, in my line of work, if I pull the trigger on my gun, which I can do in the course of duty, I'm still held accountable for every bullet that goes down range. But, the interesting thing here is, anybody can get arrested, but it comes down to the district attorney and the prosecutor who, if they're going to actually press charges. So now it's, with the district attorney to to decide if he's going to hold this Forest Service guy accountable. And the Forest Service in this article did not respond to comment. No, a lot of times they have a lot to say. I think they had some things to say about the Hammonds. But a wildfire expert writing for Wildfire Today said this is the first time in this author's knowledge that a federal burn boss has been arrested for an escaped prescribed fire. Escaped, meaning the control burn got out of control. And in this article from Oregon Live, it says it was the latest episode that underscores simmering tensions over the management of federal lands in rural conservative eastern Oregon. That tension exploded into the 2016 takeover of the Malheur, Malheur National Wildlife Refuge. And where an extremist leader was killed by law enforcement. Yeah, Lavoy Finicum shot pretty much in cold blood. And here's Lavoy, and he's with Ammon Bundy. They're when they took over that refuge. This is in that other article about the Hammonds here. But this is the person who there's videos out there who truly got murdered in cold blood. But that was the feds just doing their job, because these guys were coming out to the rescue of the Hammonds, who, there was a lot of talk and speculation and press that the feds were just really out of control. So back to this Oregon Live article, and it does say that the district attorney Carpenter warned that the federal employee Songrass federal employment will not protect him if it is determined that he acted recklessly. And he said that the Forest Service was engaging in a prescribed burn may actually raise rather than lower the standard to which sawgrass will be held accountable. I guess should probably finish that sentence, but that's from the prosecutor. And so the sheriff said that the controlled fire burned about 20 acres of land belonging to Holiday Ranches, and McKinley's the sheriff's initial investigation led the sheriff to believe he had probable cause to arrest Sandgrass, who supervised for reckless burning. He said the case will be evaluated once the investigation is complete, and if appropriate, Sandgrass will be charged. And the Forest Service just said that it's very uncommon, but declined to comment further on the arrest and potential legal proceedings. And, as I say, there's just really, truly nothing to laugh about arson and fires and, things that can go out and destroy property and animals and habitat. But the person who was actually responsible for the arrest was a man who manages the property that the fire escaped onto and was burning. So that property manager was Chad Holliday, the Holliday Properties, and he said he walked up and said Todd, who is the sheriff. He walked up and Todd said Chad Holliday, the owner of the property that was burned, said, right now you're being video recorded. You're the spokesperson for the ranch. Would you like to press charges? And the person with the ranch, Chad Holliday, said, absolutely, somebody's got to be held accountable. So the sheriff put the cuffs on him. And the thing is this isn't funny at all. I'm witty. I laugh. I crack jokes, good jokes. I don't tell prefab jokes, but I crack jokes in the moment, and I love a good laugh more than anybody else. But this is just karma funny, because the Hammonds are just good people, and like the feds have done to many people, they truly seem to go out of their way with the Hammonds, as they did with the Bundys too. Let's not forget the Bundys down there outside of Vegas, where all the other ranches around them just closed down, just bowed to the government, and the Bundys didn't, and they, man, oh man, they went through a lot. And so that's why this is a Friday funny. This is not funny. This is really sad that our government agencies are really. I've been telling people for over 10, 15 years we're a communist country, and I'm bat crazy because I'm like, is communism everywhere right in front of your face? And maybe today there was a sheriff that went out there and didn't bow and just say, oh well, hey, the feds did it, so if their control burn gets out of control, not a problem. So this is just a karma funny. And have a good weekend, people. Stay tuned.